Hi, I'm Missy Woodward. I'm here with Congressman Thaddeus McCotter of Michigan. We're here to talk about a new bill he's introduced, which is very interesting, called the Happy Act. Hello, Congressman. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
All right, the Happy Act. What does that acronym stand for, and where did you come up with it?
Humans and pets partnering through the years. As we were getting ready to introduce legislation, I happened to have Happy by the Rolling Stones on my iPod playing. So I figured for Uncle Keith I would come up with something to match that acronym.
So how did the evolution come about to even design such a piece of legislation?
Well, we've had reports about people having to turn in pets because of the economic recession, and it's heartrending to think of a child having to lose an animal that they love. We've also seen that the adoptions out of the shelters are down. And so some of my friends that are active in animal issues and in politics came to me and said, is there anything we can do? And they suggested something such as a tax credit, tax relief for people who own pets. And when you think about the relationship between people and the pets and the humane way that it helps people think, not only about animals but about each other, and the way that especially with young children can be taught how to be responsible with the animals, it seemed to me a good idea, and we dropped it in.
I know that there's the consideration there's 63% plus people have pets in their homes, as well as the human-animal bond. It is really important for senior citizens and different people. So who would support this right now? I would think that veterinarians would. What other groups?
Well, we haven't really pushed it yet because of the health care debate. We wanted to drop it in before the August recess so that it would be there that when the health care debate was settled one way or the other, that we would then be able to pick up and look at ways that we can help people in a struggling economy not only keep their pets, but also keep their money. It is tax relief.
It mentions qualified pet care. Now, I know that would consider veterinarian care. Would something, let's say, like dog walkers, people are working so many hours they can't go home, would you consider non-prescription drugs? A lot of rescue groups, because they are trying to keep their costs down, they want to be able to do those kinds of things. Would those qualify?
As we introduced the bill knowing that if it is picked up by the Ways and Means Committee, and if it is picked up by members and the public likes it, that this will be subject to a lot of input, a lot of change. So it's not written in stone, no piece of legislation is. But because this is such a novel approach, we expect and would welcome input as to what should or should not qualify for the deduction and what the amount of deduction ultimately would be. So it's a work in progress, but we just hope that after, again, the health care debate is settled one way or the other, we can then look at other ways to help people.
And as far as like how the IRS would look at it, would they just have a checklist, yes, no, acceptable, not acceptable?
We would try to make it as easy as possible for the IRS not to have difficulty or interpreting the legislation, because that's where I'm, for one, and I think a lot of people would love to see a simplified tax code. I would hate to add to the current tax code more uncertainty.
Okay, as far as considering it tax-wise, do you think this would cause any red flags so people would be audited? I know, again, with rescue groups, they're going to max out that $3,500. Let's say if that is the number it ends up being, they're going to max that out. Do you think that would red flag people for audits?
I don't know. As a member of Congress, I'm sure we all get red flags for audits. I just leave the IRS to do their work and file your honest returns, and I think that that's just part of how we have under, unfortunately, a progressive income tax. It doesn't seem to be changing anytime soon. But I would also caution that one of the arguments you'll get back is, oh, people will take advantage of this tax deduction. Well, look, considering where I work in Washington, I think people there are far sneakier than the average member of the public. So I trust the public will be honest about this.
Okay, so how do you think the Ways and Means Committee will look at this? I mean, they've got so many things like the health care situations. Do you think they'll take it seriously in the light that people want them to take it?
Well, members take things as seriously as the public tells them to take it. So if people really believe this is a good idea and they would like to see it passed into law, they would encourage them to talk to their members, get them on board. If they oppose it, they'll let you know that too. And again, it's obviously health care is on the front burner, but when this time comes, if people are letting their members know they like it, would like to see them co-sponsor it or get behind it, or unfortunately even oppose it, generally the public's will is expressed very directly to their members of Congress, and I think that would be helpful in this instance.
So the process will be, it will go to Ways and Means, they will look at it and determine if it's even valid, or they wait first for input from other people, then they say, okay, it's not $3,500, it's $3,000. What is the process?
Well, the chair can bring it up, or he cannot bring it up, or members can ask to have it brought up, or we would ask to have it brought up if there's support for it. So just because something's introduced and referred to committee doesn't mean the committee has to pick it up. We have thousands of bills introduced all the time, which is why I'm so grateful for what you're doing to help get the message out.
Okay, when somebody says, like say, the blogs I've been reading, they say, well, I would like to have a tax break for getting my brakes done or something else as a human. How would you answer them regarding this?
Well, I'm from Detroit, and I really love cars, but a car is not an animate object, and it doesn't lead to the type of interaction between people and their pets.
Have you had any responses from any other fellow members saying anything either way, pro or con, that they thought about it?
No, again, I dropped it before we left, and ironically, we haven't really pushed it yet, again, because of the healthcare debate. Members are focused on that. Public is focused on that, and it's just interesting to see how people are picking up on this just from the act of simply introducing it.
Right. I did see a lot of things on the net, petitions going up already, talking about it, wanting to get people to support it. One thing happening here in the Los Angeles area, of course, our budget crisis has slashed the ability to keep animals. The Hayden bill allowed people, the shelters, to be reimbursed to have animals there 6 to 7 days. Now it's 72 hours. It's going to be an inordinate amount of animals that are going to be killed. And it seems like this is one that would actually allow more adopting, saving more lives.
Yes, helping to save animals from being destroyed, helping to build, again, the human-animal relationship, which is very humane. It has many salutary benefits to society as a whole. And again, as a conservative, as a Republican, anything I can do to find ways to help make people's family budgets bigger, especially in an economic recession. And when you can tie in the fact of how there is such a wonderful benefit to owning a pet, that if you can combine that with allowing people to keep their hard-earned money, that sounds like a winner to me.
I know, and Katrina was a good example. People were not going to leave because their family member was going to be left at home and they were not going to go. So that was very important. A lot of, you see a lot more groups and lobbyists out on the state and federal level trying to get bills out about humane protection, care for animals. Do you think the legislators are more open to that now?
Oh, I think so. I think society as a whole, we know that in many ways we've become a coarser culture than we've been in the past. But this is one area where I think that people are coming around to a humane sense of how we treat animals. Often it can be extrapolated onto how we treat each other.
What do you think is the best way for people that care about animals to really get the ear of their legislators, to get them to take it seriously and not think that they're bleeding heart, diehard animal people, to take it legitimate, such as we had bills here proving that spay and neuter, the cost of spay and neuter, far outweighed anything in the tax breaks that it would cost were amazing. How do you think, in your position, do you listen to people more about something, let's say, related to animals?
I think every member's different. Every member of the public is different. I just think speak your mind, do it, communicate, set up a meeting with your member, send a letter, send an email, call, make your voice heard. There may be new ways to communicate, but it's still the same system, and you have to have your voice heard, and people have their own way of communicating. Some are more forceful, some are more reticent to do that, but there's no right or wrong way to do it. I would encourage no profanity directed at the member of Congress or directed at the member from the member of Congress. But that's it. There's no magic secret to it. There's no recipe.
Okay, so what should people do now that want to get behind this bill, want to support it? Who should they call? Who should they write? What should they do?
I'd encourage them to look at the bill, look at how it affects their circumstances, and call their member of Congress and say, we know you've got health care and a lot of things on the plate, but this is something we don't want to slip through the cracks. Would you be willing to be supportive of it? Would you co-sponsor it? Or what are your views on it? And we answer letters like that a lot of times, and I will get on bills a lot of the times when I find out that there is a lot of support for it that may not be as obvious to some.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. We in the humane community are very excited about this, thinking it's one more way that we can get the word out, help the animals, and like you said, save money. So thank you very much. Thank you for joining us, and we hope that you'll get behind this bill and, like you said, write your legislators, find out how you can get involved, sign those petitions, and hopefully we'll all get a tax break and also help the animals. Thanks.